Hello, world. Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with the LGBTQ approach and an LGBTQ perspective in an LGBTQ plus planet where each and every one of us belongs to one or two letters in the 10-letter sexual alphabet LGBTQIAAP. And today we are back discussing intersexuality and sexual identity and the first, second, and the third sexes. Each of us belongs to one of the three. And that's what we want to discuss. Of course, remember when I started talking about us being all intersexual, more intersexual than others, some people really wanted to know what am I really saying? And they really pressed and wondered, are you really an intersex person or you are not an intersex person? So I want to iron out that issue today. And because of, just hold on, it's a windy day. So the um what I was studying about was when I started studying about intersexuality, even before I studied about intersexuality, I wrote a book a few years ago when Rex Arthur was very fresh. Now I'm so much, I've grown in age and in data. So when I was young, that time, and I started LGBTQ activism, the I remember writing a book saying we are all bisexual, but some are gay, some are straight. So I think it was at that time I was understanding intersexuality, but I really didn't. I was I was seeing it, but I didn't really understand what it was. What I mean by that, because when I said we are all bisexual, I meant that we all have two sexes, or we can be homosexual and heterosexual. Now, the my argument was based on the fact that when you have sex, I mean, a homosexual is a man who has sex with a man. So what does this mean? He's a man, he has a penis, and he's having sex with another person who has a penis. Now, heterosexuality is where a person with a penis has sex with a person with a vagina, and the sex is even defined. It's not, it is, well, it's debatable, but the sex that will happen is basically vaginal. But you can have heterosexual anal sex and you can have heterosexual oral sex. So that is still heterosexual sex because you're not looking. You see, we did a video where we're defining sex. Sex is not necessarily the players, it is what happens or where the action happens. So when you have anal sex, it is sex taking place in the anus. When you have vaginal sex, it's sex happening in the vagina. When you have sex in the mouth, oral sex, it is oral sex. When you have frottage, you are having non-penetrative sex. So that's what you need to understand about sex. When you define sex according to the locations, it is then you'll have different types of sex. But then when you define sex according to the players, the partners, then you will also have different explanations of sex. So like there's homosexual sex, then because the partners tend to be of the same sex and of the same sex, heterosexual, opposite sex, then you have the new type of sex, the mixed orientation sex. This is whereby uh, you have sex with the third sex. You know, you're a man and you have sex with intersex person. That is mixed orientation sex. You're a woman and then you have sex with a pansexual. That is mixed orientation sex, because naturally, or not naturally, normally, normally people will either have hetero or homo sex. But the mixed orientation sex has come about because we are now aware of the different sexes that live amongst us. So at that time, I said no, because a homosexual man has a penis just like a straight man, then it means we are all bisexual. But even we are all bisexual, even though we are all bisexual, some are gay, some are straight. Then later on, I added, and some are bi. Now, what does it mean? The when you have, like, see, I have tits. These could be mammary. These are mammary glands without milk. Yes, a man is basically not only a man. Does you see the beauty of science is that even there are women who are flat chested. So does she cease to become a woman? No, that's what we are going to discuss today. This is the reason for this video. So you see here, this can be breasts with milk. Sometimes they can even be big with no milk. So the stereotype we have, the biological stereotype, is that women are supposed to have big breasts. But there are some women who don't have breasts. They are flat chested. Some they were born like that. Others it's because of cancer. Breast cancer, so they have to chop off. Look at Angelina Jolie. She had to chop off her breasts. So she's flat chested. So when you see her, and if she decides to cut her hair and then wear a suit and then go to the office and put on shades, you may just greet and say, "Hello, Mr. D'Angelo, how are you doing?" And she says, "I'm fine." And you'll be, "Oh my God, what has just happened? What have I just had?" You see? And you'll ask yourself, "But I thought I'm talking to a man. I mean, I didn't see any breasts." Yeah, that's what has happened thanks to science, trying to save women who have breast cancer. Now, so that's what you need to understand about the biological stereotypes. Then you find when it comes to a man, then you find a man he has breasts, he has breasts, or he has hips, and then he decides to dress like a Muslim woman, and then you think, wow, this is a lady, okay, and then you greet her, and then out of the blue, just hear a man's voice, and then you want to collapse because you saw breasts and you thought you saw a woman, and yet it's not a woman. Biological stereotypes. Now, that was a time when I was in the bisexual thinking. I used to say we are all bisexual, and some are gay, some are straight, and then later on I added some are bi. So meaning, even if you have a penis, you have a penis as a man. You can be homosexual, you can be heterosexual, or you can be bisexual. That's it. You are a woman and you have a vagina. You can be homosexual, that's a lesbian, heterosexual, or bisexual. Those are the three. That's what I discussed in the video of omnisexual, the omnisexual letters, and I said LGB, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, they are not omnisexual, because the lesbian is a woman who has sex with women, so she's homosexual. The gay is a man who has sex with men, so he's homosexual. Then the bisexual is for men and women who have sex with both sexes. Then the straight person, who is the ally, is a person who has sex with the opposite sex. It's as simple as that. So now, last year, I was now reading the science of sex and biology, and I read, and sexuality. Then I read and noticed something, that every human has both male and female hormones. Estrogen is found in a man, just like testosterone is found in a woman. But the thing, these hormones, their levels will determine your sexuality. The level of those hormones will determine your total sexuality. So, and the reason why we are hormonally intersexual, meaning, or hormonally bisexual, because bisexuality is similar to intersexuality, only that bisexuality is an abstract intersexuality. What I mean by abstract, this is a person who acts like a man and a woman at the same time. Though that can be debatable, because you can have bisexuals who, like, you can have a bisexual woman who is a femme and then she's married to a man, So she's femme all the way. She's never going to try and become a man when she's with a woman, and then when she's with a man, she's a woman. So that is debatable. So that's why I don't want to say bisexuality is similar to intersexuality. But what I meant by it being similar, it's because of the two identities, which intersexuality also has two different identities on the same sex. So let's not connect. So bisexuality is not necessarily intersexuality, even abstractly. So I was reading and I realized that all of us have male and female hormones. And when you read about hormonal development, that's the endocrine system. Some people have very high levels of the opposite sex hormones, and that having those high levels affects their life, their sexuality. So you find the woman, a woman who has very high levels of testosterone, she tends to be very macho. Yeah, very masculine. And if you've noticed lesbians, very many lesbians who are butch, they are naturally masculine. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I'm beginning to do my research, even racially and genetically. And I have a feeling black women tend to be very macho. And this is what can give them a high supposition of being lesbian. Yes. Even if they marry, they become bisexual. That's why a majority of lesbian women tend to be bisexual. Oh no, majority of women tend to be bisexual rather than lesbian. So I'm yet to finish I want to study each and every letter genetically and racially and find which race has the most and the least of each letter. So for me, the reason why I'm saying that for African women, it's because in the races, black people tend to have high testosterone. So the high testosterone, what you can tell you have high testosterone is the size of your body and the features. There are certain features that are found in people who have a lot of testosterone, and one of them is big muscle, muscle. So you find in West Africa, like I remember Richard Burton, when he went to West Africa, he wrote about the West African women he saw, And he was impressed. He was like, what? The ladies are so big, they are gigantic. And you can understand Richard's explanation because he was from Europe, where it's very hard to find a gigantic woman, especially at that time. So he was wondering, now this woman is big. Huh? And he wrote it in the book. So that they have a lot of testosterone in their body. And that's what makes them big. But I've noticed most lesbians I know who are butchers, they are, they look like men. And I said, yeah, that's a tip. That's a sign that it's natural. Um, it's of course, people. If you're not a lesbian, you won't understand lesbian sex that much very well. But just by the features, when she tells you, yes, I'm a lesbian, yeah, and then you look at her, then you say, yeah, yeah, yeah. You even have, you have a lot of, you're oozing with machismo, you're masculine. So that's because of the high testosterone. And in the races, the blacks tend to have a lot of testosterone. Now, the opposite of blacks are the Asians. They have little testosterone. And that's why you find them, they're very small, very small. And petite, not, of course, not very small, they're just petite, petite. And they don't have a lot of muscle like in the blacks. So that's what you need to understand. And it's evolution. As I've already told you, blacks are the parents of all the races. Yes, that's what people need to understand. Asians, whites should understand that. It's not easy. Even you see Jesse's attack, it's not, they don't understand science. That's why science needs to be taught in schools, especially evolutionary science. Because when you understand evolutionary science, I was going through some evolution work today and I was impressed. The oldest tools, stone tools, were found in Africa, East Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania. So what does that mean? Our ancestors, they are from East Africa. So if you are an Asian, you'll have to read that history to understand. You see, they are not taught. People need to ask themselves, what are Asians taught in school? Then we attack people and say this person is racist. But you see, as I said in the video of Jassy that I've already posted, look at the problem. Where is the problem? Why are these people racist? There is someone who gave them wrong data. You see, that makes them racist. So when you read the what do you call it? When you read the syllabus of those countries, you'll be shocked. They don't discuss about human origins. They don't tell people that Africa is the cradle of humanity. You try and look for books, they are not there. Same in the white world. They don't. So this person, he does not have data about the origins of man, but he has data about what man, about the black man being a slave, and that data now shapes it. So, oh, that's why they're slaves. You see, because they can't think like us, and then they have data. They have their own scientific data of building. They have machines like what you see in China and Asia. So then when they come to Africa, they see nothing like that. Then they also don't have history as to understand why Africa did not industrialize. It is a source of raw materials. I mean, the last thing an industrialist will do is industrialize the source. Because if he does that, he's gone. He would rather ship his industry here, Africa, and close the industry at home. You see, so because they get raw materials from Africa, they don't industrialize it. They can't. It's confusion. Because they have industries at home. But those at home, they don't have raw materials. Or if they have them, there's a reason why they don't go for them. But they come to Africa, which has no industries, it's just open land filled with minerals. So they collect, boom, 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 take home. So that process of taking those minerals back there makes Africa not industrialized. That's why Africa is poor. Africa is not poor because of the people. It is poor because of the nature of industrialization. Yes, the current industrialization system makes Africa the source. You know, the source of something will never be industrialized, because if it's industrialized, then when will you get the source? You know, if Africa was filled with skyscrapers in the whole of Africa, there will be no mining. Yes. How will you mine and there are buildings? How will you? I remember watching a video about in America, Texas, in Dallas, there's an oil rig next to buildings. And I was like, what? Yes, because Texas has a lot of oil. It's just that they industrialized faster than getting the oil. So, but when they need the oil, my friend, they will dig. They don't care whether there's a building next door. They will dig when they need the oil. So that's what I saw in that video, and I laughed. So this is why Africa is the way it is. So if you give people the data of human origin, the racism will reduce. Yes, it will reduce. Because I've told you, whoever remains racist, there's something wrong with their brain. You know what you do? Give people data, give them an exam, they pass the exam. Then put them in a situation where they're with many races. If they still remain racist, then they are mentally unwell. That's what I've even said about homophobia. Put people with homosexuals, let them work together. Let that person say he's gay, and he is. And then you have already given your workers the data that they should work with everybody irrespective of whatever they are, their sexual orientation. Then if there's still homophobia, like the attack that happened to Jassy, if it still happens, sack that person or take him for mental checkup. He's mentally unwell. Yes, because I believe now phobias are mental disorders. Because why should you fear somebody whom you've now read and understood that they are like that? Why? That's what you need to understand. So, anyway, enough of that. Let's focus on the video. So, last year I was so much on studying the science of intersexuality and sexuality biologically, and I found we all have the male and female hormones. Then I also studied the Quincy scale, not the Quincy scale, Quincy, I think it's a Quincy, not the Kinsey. Kinsey is about homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality. A very beautiful scale. Good one. I support it. And then we have the I think the Quincy, I did it recently, but I can't remember because it's a very I stumbled upon it when I was now studying intersexuality properly. Now in that scale, they have the gonads, those are sexual organs in a spectrum. So the smaller your organs, the more they are running to become feminine. And then when it's feminine, because we are all one, that's the beauty of sex and life. We are all one. Men are just improved women. Yes, and women are improved men. So I'll explain it this way. Because you are born of a man and a woman, you will carry a man and a woman. Even if you are XYY, or XXXX, quadruple X. There are some women who are quadruple X. They don't have, not women, even some men, XXY. There are men who are XXY. Um, Meaning they have a woman, they are a woman and a man. The best video to watch, movie, Intersection. It will teach you. I love it with all my heart. And so the so because you are born of a man and a woman, you carry a man and a woman, your identity. I carry my father man and my mother woman in me. So I have two sexualities, a man and a woman. That's why I said we are all intersex, but some are more intersex than others. But today I want to declare I want to make a declaration. Hallelujah. Not, we're not in church anyway. The declaration I want to make is I am a man externally because I don't have two sexual organs externally. So externally I am male. Internally I don't know what to say. I haven't gone to do checkup to see if I have internal sex organs, more than one internal sex organ. Because it is possible to have an ovary. I may be externally a man, but internally I am both a man and a woman. But I haven't done the checkup, so I cannot declare to you my internal sexual identity. I've only declared to you my external sexual identity, which is male. I don't see a vagina when I look at myself. There's no external female organ I can see here at the holy place. The holy of holies. I can't see, I only see a male organ. But internally, I haven't done checkup. But if I do and I find I have an ovary or ovaries, I will come and declare. So, but now I can't declare anything, so I don't know. Then hormonally, I am intersexual because I have male and female hormones in me, estrogen and testosterone. Estrogen is primarily found in women and testosterone is primarily found in men. And I've told you, because I am born XY, like I even don't know my chromosome. So I know personally I just think I'm an XY, but I don't know, I may be XXY. I remember in high school that was my nickname. Yeah, they used to call me XXY because of how I used to behave. And me, I was just there, I didn't know. I never used to bother with biology, by the way. I was a very funny boy. I was just there. Someone just said, you're just an XXY. And it's true. I thank my high school friends who noticed that. They were sharp. They could see. So, so back to what I'm discussing. So internally, I've given you my sexual identity. Externally, I'm male. Internally, I don't know who I am. Hormonally, I am both male and female. Now, back to sexual identity. In the current world of identification, the external sexual identity is the one that determines is the one that is stated in your identity card. The external one, not the internal one and not the hormonal one. It's the external one. So the most important sexual identity in humanity is the external sexual identity. That's why I said everybody is intersex, but some are more intersex than others. So when you listen to that statement, don't focus on the first. Focus after the word but. Everybody is intersex, but some are more intersex than others. Those are the most important. Those are the intersex persons. The intersex persons are the ones who externally they have both sexual organs of the male and female. Then the most and the one who should be protected is the internal intersex. Yes, the internal intersex. So there's the external intersex, there's the internal intersex, and there's the hormonal intersex person. The trickiest person in the world is the internal intersex, because externally they have one sexual organ, but internally they have two. So that's what happened to Semenya. Semenya is the best example of an internal intersex person, because externally she's a woman, but internally she's both a man and a woman. She has testes. At the same time, she has ovaries. Beautiful, thoroughly beautiful intersexuality. So this is why when Semenya was running, do you know they allowed her? Do you know why they allowed her the first time? Always ask yourself, the first impression counts. Semenya was allowed to run the first time. Why? When you undress her, she's a woman. Then this Semenya was winning. And then when she gives conferences to speak, she's talking in a very heavy voice. Then they look at her face, she has sideburns. Then they look at her height, she's tall. Then they look, one thing I like about Southern Africa, if you want to see the most sexually diverse persons, it is in Africa. And Semenya is the LGBTQ version of Satje. Satje was the big, voluptuous Southern African woman who was taken to Europe because they had never seen a woman who was so big everywhere. She was swelling everywhere. So they wondered, and they took her to Europe, and she was exhibited naked. So people were doing studies, they were there. Oh my God, look at her breasts, so big. Look at her ass, so big. Look at her hips, so big. Look at her belly. If the fat was just dropping, the breasts were big and dropping. So they were writing. If you look at the paintings, it's very funny. But it was seen as a racist. People twisted, some racists twisted it, and that's how they were now measuring Africans, thinking Africans are all like that, forgetting that it was just diversity. So now Semenya comes in the 21st century, and she's running. And then the West is wondering, what is this a woman? This person must have been injecting something. So they even accused Semenya of taking drugs to enhance her masculinity. And she was saying, no, I remember even a South African magazine insisted she was a woman. They even had to put lipstick. And I was like, no, don't have to force it to show that she's a woman. She is one. Why is she running? And if you undress her, she has a vagina. Then, when they did studies on Semenya, they found she had internal sexual organs of a man, apart from having the ovary, the two ovaries. Are you seeing the beauty of the human body? 2 ovaries, 2 testes. Two fallopian tubes. Now, when it comes to men, they will have yeah, even men have two tubes for the vas deferens. There are two. The vesicles, there are also two. You see how we are the same? And the balls of a man, if they become small, they become labia of the woman. So you have the two. And you know why you have two things? Is because we are double. Right eye, left eye. Right nostril, left nostril. Right hand, left hand. Right side, right leg, left leg. So, because of the symmetry, we are two. We have the we have some parts of the body that are symmetrical. So even the sexual organs tend to be symmetrical. Only that the male organ, because, and not only the male organ, the long phallus or the penis is the clitoris. That's what you need to understand. The clitoris that women have is the penis that men have. And the only thing that women were given in the front was a hole, the vulva, where the lips open. You see, these are lips. Why do we call them lips? It's because they are the gates of the hole of the mouth. So even there, that's what they were given, a big hole. But for men, the clitoris became the penis. And then when you see the clitoris, if you see the clitoris very well, if it becomes very long, it will cover the labia, which I've told you are the balls of a man. So it covers the labia or the balls, and then its job is mainly to enter holes, one of them being the vagina, the other one being the mouth, the other one being the anus. So any hole, because that penis is, and remember, not only does the penis penetrate holes, even my finger, all of these are penetrators. They penetrate. You can, any hole, even here. That's penetration. It does happen. And this is what, when Sigmund Freud was studying children, saying this, the oral stage, children go through the oral, you know, like, oh. Then after that, there's the anal stage. Now in the anal stage, children just enjoy releasing. They enjoy the fact that they are releasing. So they wonder, what is this thing I'm doing? So they learn that they have an anus. Then they have already learned they have a mouth. They don't know what it is, but they want to put something inside that mouth. Then for the anal area, when they release it, they are enjoying the release of fecal matter. Then the next level is the, what did he call it? I've forgotten the name he gave, but I think it's genital. The child starts playing with whatever he has. He's looking at his dick, if he's a boy, and then if it's a girl, she's looking at her vagina, and then ask questions. What is this, mommy? What is this? You know, I'm saying something. You see, that's the stage, the third stage he said people reach. Then now when they reach that stage, if they are aware that that stage means this is for sex, they now start having sex. So that's how it happens to children. That's why children have sex. Yes, child to child sex happens. So the children play, they play, and then, you know, when you're children, you still don't understand. You still don't understand, but some children understand. That's why in Arabic and African cultures, you find a child at the age of 12 is married off, especially a girl, because and for the ancient people, the sex was a very important uh, aspect of society. This is why when you handle ancient cultures, which are mostly found in Africa and the Arab world and a bit of the East, it is okay. Even the whole world, all the world has that culture. Sex is a very important aspect of society because of the fact that it leads to having children. The excuse me, the procreative heterosexual sex, it leads to having children. So because of that, that in the ancient cultures, children were exposed to sex very early, like I told you, girls, especially when they started menstruating. This is why you remember recently on Facebook, the Sudanese man, he sold his daughter for was it $10,000? Yeah, $10,000. He sold her. Reason? She's a very ripe age. She has just started menstruating. She has been menstruating for about 3 years, 4 years. She's young. She's now a woman. Because in the ancient cultures, were women at the time of menstruation. You have become a woman. But in the Western system, it's different. You become a woman at the in the Western system, numerals matter, numbers, and the law. The Western is a very legalistic system. They go by the law. They don't go by biology. Yes, but the non-Western societies, they go by biology. That's why non-Western societies do not have do not have written laws. That's not how they used to rule the society. They rule the society by orders. And for information, even the ancient Israel, the laws were only written by the scribes and people like Moses. But the rest of the people, they were not reading. They were not literate. There's a very very big misconception in the religious world that people of the past were reading. They were not reading. It is you who is now reading the Bible, and now you think people of the past, they were not. And that's one reason why they were always breaking the law. They never knew it. They imagine reading to someone, this is the law, and there are 613, and the guy is reading, and you have to listen. You have to listen, and then after that, I finish reading the law, go home. People went home and they forgot what was happening, and they couldn't keep the laws. And then another thing, the laws were not really important because they were not based on science. They were so primitive, you know. That's why I always tell people, look at ancient modern Israel. If they are not keeping the laws of the past, know something. They are sharper now. Yes, they are sharper. That's what I told people. Modern Israel allows gay sex. Ancient Israel did not. So who is stupid? It is the ancient one. They didn't know. Yes, they didn't know science. It's modern Israel that's sharper. They are even make better things than the past. It's because they have read. And that is what you need to understand about ancient religions. Okay, so I finished about intersexuality and sexual identity. The most important thing you should get away from the video is external sexual identity is key. It's number one. But what I'm seeing happening in the future is they will be they may be an insistence or a desire to know the internal sexual identity of some people. Because what that can do, you see, some people are intersex and they don't know, especially the ones who are internally intersex. Yeah, you can have an ovary if you're a man and you don't know. You can have, who knows, you can even have fallopian tubes. You can have anything inside. That's why I told you, watch Intersection. Is the best, uh, it is the best movie on intersex persons. So I think the most affected intersex persons are the internally intersex because they don't know who they are. As I've told you, imagine I don't know my internal sexual structure. What about you? You should even ask yourself, especially if you are queer, LGBTQ, you know, you should go and check for yourself and find out. I know sometimes some people don't want to know. It can mess you up. And but it's good to know so that we are aware that there are people like that. Like you see Semenya. Now when Semenya they discovered she had the testis, the second move was she's not gonna run because she has a very high level of testosterone that's only found in women with that condition or women who have tumors. And I remember when I read that, I said, no. And I did the videos also there. And I said, no, Semenya should run because externally she's a woman. And when you do women's races or men's races, it is the external sexual identity that counts, not the internal one. Because we live in a natural world, even though internal world is natural. Okay, not natural, we live in an external world whereby what counts is what everybody can see externally, not what we can see internally. You see, like you can see me now and you may say this is me, but you don't know me internally. Yes. The liver for people who smoke or drink a lot, so not smoking, drinkers, the heavy drinkers, alcoholic, when you see him, he looks very normal. Why? The internal intersex persons are in our society. They are hidden. We don't know them. And neither do they know they are. So sometimes it's good to know. And what I am seeing happening, because the world is becoming very addicted to identification, they are going to introduce sexual identification process whereby they will look at your whole your genetic makeup and your sexual identity makeup, and then they will tell you who you are, and then now you can live your life. Of course, it's not that when you know who you are now you will be forced to be in a you're put in a cocoon. No, it's just good to know who you are. You see, that's what I say. Like, that's the same way as when you say you're gay. It's not that someone came and told you, it's that that's what you feel. You feel it, you enjoy, you're so happy when you're with the same sex sexually. So then that's how you come out, and this is who I am. And I'm happy with it, and I've accepted myself. Some people, and for information, not everybody who is what he is happy. Yes, that's what you need to understand. There are some people who don't, and those people who are not happy, those ones need psychological help. They need to be happy. Because if you're not happy about who you are sexually, you really need help. And this is why we are helping religions to 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 encourage their LGBTQ persons to accept them. And how you accept them is by positively changing the theology to affirm LGBTQ persons. That's what you do. You make them, you are my child, you're the child of God. That's what you do for religious LGBTQ persons. You tell them you're the child of God, you were born that way and He loves you. You know what Tim Cook did? The best thing, the best word of encouragement. He told LGBT persons, you are a gift from God. And he's right. He's very right. Because you're special. You see, why do we give awards to Stevie Wonder? Yes, he does well. He's so talented, even despite his blindness. Extremely talented. Even, contrary to belief, disabled people are very intelligent. Very. It's weird. I mean, how many children with autism are brilliant artists? So many. So we are still to understand why humanity is allowed to have these differences and these unique personalities. That's how it is. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It has been nice sharing with you about intersexuality. So, if you have one sexual organ externally, that is who you are in the external system of the world. But don't hesitate to find out who you are internally. It's good if you get the time, but I would advise you, if you don't have to, just stick to your external and stick to what you desire, because it's not even the external one that determines your sexual orientation. That's what I was even trying to tell you. Gay men have penises. Nobody should say a gay man does not have a penis. No, they also have penis. Some even have very big ones. But it doesn't mean they are not gay. It's what matters is their sexual orientation, their sexual direction, what makes them happy sexually. If it's being with a man that makes them sexually happy, they are gay. And give them their rights. Yes. Because happiness is subjective. Yes, it's not you. You don't define happiness for everybody. Imagine defining happiness for people like, I want everybody to listen to who is this, Jim Reeves. No, some people want to listen to what's his name, to Eminem. Others want to listen to Mozart. Others want to listen to gospel musicians. Others want to listen. Let everybody listen to what they want. So let everybody have their happiness, but don't define that this is the happiness for everybody. No, you're wrong when you do that. So you can have a penis, but your penis can be for gay, it can be for bisexual, it can be a bisexual penis, it can be a heterosexual penis. You can have a vagina, it can be a heterosexual vagina, it can be a bisexual vagina, and it can be a lesbian vagina. Live. Sexual orientation means sexual direction. Those are the three ways. Go to whichever way it leads you. But know that nobody defines your destination. It's you. It's you. You know where you want to go. Go.